What's going on, folks? It's Alex here, MrAlexTech, and Davinci Resolve 17.2 has been released today, and it contains a bunch of quite useful updates, so I figured I'd make a real quick video just to go through some of the most important ones. Now, this is a live, proper release. It's not a beta release, so it should be stable. You should be able to go and download it and start using it without too much concern. Now, if you want to download it, you just need to go to the Blackmagic website. There's a link down in the description below. Or if you've already got Davinci Resolve installed on your system, really simply open up Davinci Resolve, click on the word Davinci Resolve in the top left-hand corner, and then click on Check for Updates. That will give you a little prompt like so. Now, as you can see, of course, I'm already on Davinci Resolve 17.2, but if you're not, it'll give you the option to download and install the latest version, getting you up to date. So, what's included? Well, there's a big list of updates, some of which are going to be useful to others and some not so much. But we're going to cover a couple of the ones which I think are worth mentioning. And number one on the list, dramatically improved application startup performance. Opening up Davinci Resolve has been a little bit sluggish on Windows up until now, but it is considerably quicker. I'm not going to show you because it'll be different on everyone's system, but it's a nice improvement. It means you can hop into your project much quicker without waiting for Davinci Resolve to load up. So that's number one. That's cool. I like that. Happy days. Number two, live save is now on by default. Hooray! I don't know why it's taken them so long to implement this, to be honest. If you don't know, live save is basically autosave. So as soon as you create a new document or a new project within Davinci Resolve, previously you had to always make sure you were hitting Ctrl and S to save the project as you went, unless you've gone out of your way to turn live save on. It's now on by default, so you shouldn't, knock on wood, lose any ongoing projects if you forgot to hit save. Everything you do, every single step, I'll be watching you. Every single step that you do, it will automatically save the project. So if it does crash or if anything goes wrong, you won't lose all of the work that you've done. So that's awesome. That's really handy. The only caveat I will say to that, live save can have a mild impact on performance. If you're on a decent rig, it shouldn't. If you're on a machine which is kind of struggling to get through Davinci Resolve anyway, the constant saving may slow things down just a tiny bit. Number three, support for decoding MKV clips. Now, this won't be that useful for everyone, but for anyone that's using OBS or is streaming where the recording automatically saves in an MKV format, this is going to be a bit of a game changer. You don't need to mess around trying to convert or save anything as an MP4 because you can import those MKV files now directly into Davinci Resolve. So I've got my Davinci Resolve project open here. All I'm going to do, import some media, nothing fancy. I'm just going to go to my videos. I've got some MKVs here. We'll just highlight those, open them up. We won't worry about the frame rate for now. And there you go. They've imported directly into my Davinci Resolve. Now, those MKV files were saved recordings from OBS. I've done nothing to them, but I'm able to import them, drag them down onto my timeline, and they're ready to go. So that will save you streamers loads of time and loads of effort, which is really cool. Right, number four, support for custom naming for individual timeline clips. Again, this one's maybe a little bit niche, but for those that it affects, it will be quite handy. So I've got my timeline open here, as you can see, and I've got this clip here on my timeline. This is called Woman Dancing on a Wooden Dock at Night. Now, if I was to make a duplicate of this clip, like so now we've got two of those clips. If we give the one a click, we'll open up the inspector, we'll go to File, and then here, down the bottom, we've got Name. Now, I could change this to be whatever I want it to be. Dancing Person. And now that clip is called Dancing Person on the timeline, while the original clip still has its original name. The actual file within our media pool remains exactly the same. We're not actually changing the file at all, but we now have the option to change duplicate clips to give them unique names. Previously in Davinci Resolve, if I changed the name of this second duplicate clip to Dancing Person, any instances of that clip on the timeline would also be called Dancing Person. But now we can change them independently to whatever we want. So if you've got copies of certain clips, logos or intros or backgrounds, whatever it may be, you can just give them different name, so it just makes life a little bit easier. You can stay more organized on your timeline. You know what everything is. Now, the next one, number 5, support for adding transitions by double clicking or dragging to viewer. Now, the double clicking is the important one for me, I think. So if I move my playhead to roughly where this edit point is, it doesn't need to be exact, which is important. I'll come back to that in a second. Then we're going to open up the effects library, come down to toolbox, video transitions, and if I double click on blur dissolve, it will now add that transition to the nearest edit point. If I move my playhead towards the beginning, we'll double click on cross dissolve, I'll add the cross dissolve to the start, again, the nearest edit point. Now, the fact that it automatically jumps to the nearest edit point, you don't actually need to be on the edit point, is really interesting. And it's interesting because that functionality previously has been limited to the cut page. They call that the smart editing tools. So you could always do that sort of thing on the cut page. It would just automatically do the thing, the transition or the effect to the nearest edit point, but that functionality didn't exist on the edit page. So now I think it's quite cool that they've started to add that to the edit page, and hopefully they'll bring over some of the other interesting, useful aspects of the cut page to the edit page in the future. I might be reaching with that. They may have no plans to do that at all. I don't know, but it's interesting that this works in that way. Maybe other things will in the future as well. And last but not least, we've now got support for Fusion template bundles. Now, this one they didn't really give much information on, but I've been doing a bit of digging on it, and it seems like it could be pretty useful for creators like myself or anyone that just puts together bundles of effects, titles, transitions, and that sort of thing. It will also be much easier for anyone that's looking to download and install them as well. So if you've downloaded any of my effects in the past, you know you need to get a particular settings file and drag it into a particular place to get it to work. And you have to copy multiple settings files to the right location if there are multiple transitions or multiple effects or whatever it may be. We can now bundle all of those up into a single file and install them in one big go. And you can also do that for transitions, titles, effects, all together in one file. So I could release a massive bundle of everything you'd need. You install one file and you're good to go. So here we are in Davinci Resolve and we're on the edit page, but I'm just going to hop straight into the Fusion page. Now, if we have a look in my effects library here, we're going to go to effects. You notice I don't have my magic animate tool within here. And if I go to transitions, scroll down, I don't have my glitch transitions either. Now, usually what you'd have to do is open up a folder, drag all the individual settings files into here. But Blue Peter style, I've got one I prepared earlier, which is this, which is a MrAnimate.drfx, which is a Davinci Resolve template bundle. Then if I just grab this and drag it down into my nodes area here and release, it's going to ask, do you want to install MrAnimate? This will add the selected template bundle to the effects library. If we just hit install, we'll have a quick think. And now within here, if we go to effects, you can see we now have the magic animate tool. And if I go to the transitions, scroll down, we now have all of our glitch transitions. So this should hopefully be a nice, easy way for people like me to be able to bundle up different effects and macros into a single file, which is much easier and simpler for anyone that wants to use them to install into their Davinci Resolve. And that's it. There you go. Now, of course, there are other things included within this version. You can read the full documentation on Davinci Resolve website, so feel free to have a look at all of the what's new on there. If this video was useful though, please do give me a thumbs up. Any thoughts or feedback, put them down in the comment section below. And if you're new here, you enjoyed this video, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Join me next time later in the week for more Davinci Resolve goodness in this baby face. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. See ya.